This is certainly beautiful. Magical. And yes, I did empty all the water out of all the hose pipes before the freeze started. A fair amount of weight from freezing fog, which is frozen onto the leaves. So some of these are bending over quite considerably. Though eucalyptus are pretty bendy, we'll just have to wait and see once the thaw starts how well they've done. One thing that's been very evident is the amount of frost underneath the trees has been significantly reduced due to their cover. So as you can see, not too much here. Quite remarkable. This area is more open to the south, to the sun, though yesterday there was no sun, it was like this. And also yesterday was the coldest day and noticeably more build-up of ice from freezing fog on the leaves of the eucalyptus, and yet this area is where there's cover from the trees, there's far less in the way of frost. It is stunningly beautiful, really is. As you can see, some of them are really bending over, almost doubled. And thinking back to Storm Barra, all of these trees were pretty much like this, almost touching the ground. Even the tallest of the nitens were just horizontal. So, testament to how bendy, or maybe testament's not the right word, but an example, an illustration of just how bendy eucalyptus are, which means they can take the high, strong winds of the winter. Fingers crossed we don't get too many of them. These nitens aren't exposed, or this area below the nitens isn't exposed to the sun. It's pretty well shaded at this time of year where the sun's low. So this corroborates what I'm saying about much less in the way of frost below where there's a covering of a canopy of leaves. As you can see, this area doesn't have much in the way of cover from a canopy of leaves or protection from whatever, freezing fog, winds, and the eucalyptus here, the seedlings and the trays are covered in ice. Whereas here, where there is shelter from foliage, from trees, there's far less in the way of ice build up on the leaves of the eucalyptus and the trays. Another example, where it's high up, there is ice build up. Where it's low down, there's hardly any. So why am I saying this? I've read and watched several articles, videos that suggest that trees help regulate temperature. So during the winter, it keeps the temperature, they keep the temperature warmer, and during the summer, they keep the temperature cooler. So this is good in lots of ways, especially for growing food, whether that be livestock or tillage, agricultural crops, grain crops. And an interesting video I watched the other day, which I've linked to in the description, where a farmer planted trees, good canopy, large canopy cover trees, and he saw no significant loss of grass growth beneath them, and he was able to graze his cattle underneath them for, I think it was 14 to 16 weeks longer during the year. So that's a significant saving over having to put cattle in the sheds and feed them silage over the winter. Hope that helps. Good luck.